pregnant.
Yeah.
This is my third, and she's having a girl.
Oh, thank you. That is such wonderful, beautiful news. May her pregnancy go well. May they be healthy. She was so exciting.
She can join our class. You're a new baby.
Yeah, baby.
That is so nice.
They got married in April.
Yes.
I will also share good news that our trip to Lakewood, New Jersey on Sunday was so wonderful. It was so special. And it was 15 hours. Like when the day ended, I was like, whoa, like that was a long day. We did a unity trip to Lakewood, New Jersey, and it was just so special. You guys are just so special.
We went
Oh,
first.
Devora.
The next one.
Devora, we signed up for the next
What
one.
last name? Oh, that's so funny.
What?
Okay, good. I'm glad you didn't come.
Yeah.
Devora.
What'd you say?
I said Tammy and I are signing up
Yeah,
for the
we're,
next
yeah.
Okay, please God.
Yes.
Yes. Who just said my name?
Devora, can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you, Debbie.
I did. Can you hear me?
Yep.
I'm sorry that I didn't know you were going. I would have set you up with my cousin in the tablecloths. She lives up there.
Oh,
That's her company.
that would have been so
That
cute.
adorn
I
your
did not have a
table.
minute. I had not even 1 minute. Barely to use the
I'm
bathroom.
sure.
I made sure before I got on the
Right.
bus. It was really a very dry day.
What, 7 in total?
It took us like just over 3.5 hours each way. We had, but the bus was so good because it was small enough that we were able to have one conversation.
Yeah, it was lovely.
It was so nice. Yeah, it was so fun. Okay, so thank God. And like really just there's something, it is so special when you just we were a group. I mean, I happen to have known a lot of the women, but we were essentially strangers. Like we got together with these women they had never, and we were running half an hour late because I had to like peel the women away, being like, guys, if we don't get back now, like as it was, I said we'd be back at 11. We were back closer to 12. It was like you had to like peel us away. Like we just it's so special. You really feel such an amazing bond, and there were so many different types of Jewish women there. Like it was such a heterogeneous mix. It was just so beautiful.
Who did you?
Yes.
Who did you take? What girls from where?
Well, we brought a group from here. We were.
I mean, I know, but
yes,
like,
Lev. It was called Lev on the Move. It was called Lev
Inspire
on the Move, and we collaborated with Project Inspire. Yeah. It was very, very special. Yeah, we did visit the Special Children's Center, which was
interesting. I never heard.
Amazing. Yeah, it was amazing. It's an amazing facility with children for special needs. Yes.
The pictures were.
Yeah. It was just amazing.
They did like do they partner at all at Shalva?
With Shalva? No, it's a little bit different. I learned a little bit. I was asking a lot about the differences. I could tell you afterwards, but it's not the same thing. But it was also like I couldn't believe how many children were in this center. Like it was
hundreds, right?
Oh my gosh, yes, I couldn't believe it. Like just in the Lakewood community, how many hundreds of children with all different special needs, and many with Down syndrome. But also like people just sitting in their wheelchairs, couldn't really move, couldn't really talk, couldn't really walk. And the level of joy when you walk into that building, they have hundreds of young girls volunteering, high school all the way up, that are just, the walls are reverberating with like love and happiness and laughter and joy. It's like beyond.
And by the way, Upper County, whatever Rychek calls their Chabad, I can't remember.
Yeah.
They are building in the Simcha Education Center all the sensory rooms
For special needs. That's amazing. Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
That is so great. Okay, ladies, we're gonna start. Is this recorded? Did anyone hear this say that it's being? Yeah, it is. Okay.
Yes.
Wow, we can edit that beginning part. Okay, so we're up to the second. We're up to the second gate. And what's so interesting in this book of the ways of the tzaddikim is that if you go through the chapters, they have the flip side of each character trait. So we're learning about character trait development. We're learning about this whole concept. We finished up last week, the whole gate, as much as we could, the gate of pride. And now we're moving into the gate of humility. But just look, I want you to just look at the way that it goes. It's going to go from humility into shame, from shame into love, from love into mercy, from joy into worry. So it's not sadness, but it's worry. Interesting point. To regret, anger into willingness. zeal into miserliness. Well, those two are not connected. A lot of them have the flip side of each character trait, which is very interesting because when we finish pride, you think, okay, so we know what not to do. But now they have a whole chapter on humility. So let's begin on what is humility? What is humility supposed to look like? How do we all have a healthy dose of humility? It's interesting because in a world that we said with pride that struggles so much with self-confidence, right? That we all need to work so hard on having self-confidence. It might seem like, well, where does humility fall in? Like we're all very good at this, but we also have to recognize that it's all a matter of balance. I love the way that I brought this book specifically because I loved his chapter on the chapter of humility. He talks about how after a lecture that he gave, by the way, his new book just came out. It's called something about Shabbat. It's Lessons of Shabbat, Alan Marinis. So he's like the modern day Musser master. He's phenomenal. Phenomenal.
Can you spell the last name?
Morinis. And he writes that he finished giving a lecture and a lady came over to him and she said, I just wanted to tell you, you have such a wonderful, and he's thinking already, like, how is she going to finish this sentence? Like, is she going to say, you have such a wonderful sense of humor. You have such a wonderful, voice. You have such a wonderful way of expressing yourself. And he's like going on in his head thinking like, what's coming? And she goes, you have such a wonderful wife. And he said it was such a healthy dose of humility. Like here I was thinking like, yes, what are you about to tell me about myself? It had absolutely nothing to do with himself. So I love that introduction that he said to this chapter because oftentimes we view ourselves as, this is really, really an important thing to think about, but we view ourselves as the main character. It's not just about our children seeing ourselves as the main character. This morning, I noticed it so strongly. Tammy, in that class that I was giving at Asian, I said, like, there's two lanes you can be on, like, when you're having, like, a rough day or, like, something's going negative, like, you're on this, like, red track. You're just on it. And things will continue to follow on the red track until you shift over gears and say, I am consciously moving over to the green track. This morning I was on the red track and it started with this text, okay? Like, so sorry, FYI, you cannot use our building today. And like, once I was already in the space, it was like one thing and then my phone wasn't working. Like, it's not just not working. I'm like shutting it down and restarting while I'm trying to figure out, like, do we have a space? And then I pick up the phone to call someone and it's like, hello, you have reached T-Mobile. Your service has been deactivated. I'm like, of course it has. Right. And then it continued. I don't have to go into my whole morning, but like it was thing to thing. I have now switched over. I'm on a good track now. We're here learning Torah. I'm on a good track. But the way that I was viewing myself the whole time was fully as the main character. Fully. Like nothing else mattered. Like this was about me and my day. Like my kids were like, I could tell, like even I was rattling my kids, like, hello, like you have other things going on here. And I was trying to be like kind and nice, but like I was on my track. When we see ourselves as the main character of everything else around what's going on, sometimes it could be struggling with a little bit of humility. Sometimes seeing ourselves maybe as a side character is not such a bad idea. Isn't it interesting? If everybody is looking at themselves as the main character, then who becomes the supporting cast? Like I'm the main character, you guys are all my supporting cast, except like Beth is really the main character and Renee, you're the main character. Like everyone is showing up as the main character. So like what is our role with all of this? Okay. So it's interesting how many things I discovered in thinking about humility, how many character traits and how many midot are actually so connected to the right amount of humility. Okay, so let's start off by just recognizing a very powerful line that Alan Marinis says. And he says that humility is not about thinking less about yourself. It's about thinking about yourself less. Okay, that's humility. It doesn't mean put yourself down, think less of yourself, meaning maybe you really still should see yourself as the main character. But with a capital B, maybe, do you want to shift seats?
No,
okay.
Sorry.
But maybe if we're still the main character, we want to think of ourselves showing up with the strength that we show up with, but like just a little like lowering the volume, not as loud, not as front and center, thinking about ourselves less. Sorry. So I want to quote to you what he says over here about humility, and we're going to stick to our book. So I'm just bringing this in as support. But he says, generally, man finds his delight in examining his own virtues, in discovering even the smallest of his positive attributes and the most minute faults of his friends. For then he can find reason to be proud, even when in the company of great ones whose little fingers are thicker than his loins. And in thinking about this whole concept of humility, it's important, when we talk about the study of Musar, we always talk about life as a curriculum. That's what the study of Musar is. Every part of life is just as if God has handed you a syllabus and you're just signing up, you're just getting the curriculum. That's the way that we have to look at it. So when we're thinking about life as a curriculum, where does humility fall in? So let's understand this. Let's start off with what Orchot Tzadikim starts to tell us, that humility is a noble trait and a good quality and is the exact opposite of pride. Okay? So we have gaiva, we have that haughtiness, that too high of an ego, that's like too much. And then the opposite of it is that humility, right? Remember who we said is the most humble of all people? Who was it? Right. Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses, was Anav Mikol Adam. He was the most humble of all people. Whenever you look at leadership, you might think like humility, I don't know, like you need somebody who has pride, you need somebody who has confidence to be a leader. Like, what does that come in? Where does the humility come in? No. You want to have a good leader? You got to look for humility. You have to look for somebody who can humble themselves in front of the people that they are leading. Moshe Rabbeinu is the ultimate example of this because he knew exactly, these are things that we've spoken so much about, but this is the way the chapter starts. He knew exactly what his strengths were. He was just very humble about them. And that is so important for us to recognize. One who possesses this trait of humility has already spared his soul many kinds of evil. And one who attains this honored state is performing a mitzvah and receives reward to the extent of his humility. So this is very interesting because midot, character traits, are generally not a mitzvah. They're part of us behaving. They're part of us acting in a way. We're trying to mimic God. We're trying to show up as ourselves. We're trying to be the best people we could be. But it's not a mitzvah. It's not one of the 613 mitzvot. There's no mitzvah in the Torah that will tell you, be humble. So what is he referring to? So I want to ask you, what do you think? Not that you know all 613 mitzvot. I don't either. But this one you know. Which one do you think is most connected to the midah, to the character trait of humility? Any guesses? And it could be in English. It could be a theme. Yeah.
No, there's one God.
Okay. Yep. That is exactly right.
What'd you say?
To know that there is one God. Okay, the first of the 10 commandments, which is now in these Torah portions right now, is Anochi Hashem Elokecha Asher Hoseisicha Me'eretz Mitzrayim Mides Avadim. I am God who took you out of Egypt. I am that God, and there is no other God. It's 10 commandments, number 1 and number 2. Why do you say that, Gail? What about humility is the mitzvah? You're fulfilling the mitzvah by being humble. You are fulfilling the positive Torah commandment of knowing that there is one God.
It's not knowing. I mean, you can know your own strengths, but know where they come from.
Okay. Exactly, as we discussed. Randy, I just want to say there is a chair here that I
want to make this about me. I'm fine.
No, I'm like not comfortable for you.
I am.
But
totally
this is
comfortable.
a chair. This is.
I am totally comfortable.
She's so happy to be next to me.
Okay.
Me.
I don't know. I'm like not feeling comfortable. Okay.
Good for my car.
Very good for your car.
I'm feeling
This is better. This is better. It is about you. You are the main character. Okay.
And I also think that
Yes. Yes.
I miss you already.
I know.
I was thinking it's like a Kiddush Hashem, because if you want to emulate God, that if you act nicely,
Okay.
people.
So that is excellent point, Tammy. Thank you so much. By saying, but I will say, but all of Midah refinement, all character trait, anytime that a person is working on themselves, anytime that a person holds their tongue or doesn't get angry at somebody or, all the different midot that we're having, those are all a Kiddush Hashem. They're all a sanctification of God's name, especially when somebody else can see, right? When somebody sees, oh, this person has become so much more, like she doesn't get so angry. So she's noticing that, there's something reflective over there, and that is a sanctification of God's name, especially when people know that, you're a Jew, you're part of a Torah study group. Like then you already have like a certain status, it's a very important thing. Was your hand up?
No.
Okay. So that's a really important thing for us to realize when you think about it, when you're thinking about like my humility, when I have a healthy dose of humility and I'm fulfilling the mitzvah of recognizing that there is no other God. Oftentimes, we take so much pride in anything, whether it's our looks or our actions or our children or our hard work. And the level of humility is so low that we are making ourselves into another form of God himself. Okay? So by taking a healthy dose of pride, we're actually telling ourselves, hold on one second. There is a being that is responsible for this. Take pleasure, like we said last week, take pleasure. We said, don't take pride, take pleasure, but also recognize that's coming from the ultimate source. So that's very important to recognize that it's a mitzvah.
What page are you on?
Okay, I am on, I want to actually make progress today. I'm on page 59 right now. Okay, so what it says, and what is humility? It is the self-effacement and lowliness of spirit and regarding oneself as naught. A man is obliged at all times and on every occasion to be unworthy in his eyes and lowly of spirit and soft of heart and broken spirited. The root of humility is, vis-a-vis the creator, one's thinking of himself when he is yet calm and tranquil, and healthy and rich, that the Blessed One has given him good, of which he is not worthy. He must reflect upon the greatness of the Almighty and the exaltations of his glory and think, what am I? Am I not an extremely lowly creature in a lowly, ephemeral world? And all of the good things I can do are nothing but a drop in the ocean relative to what I really ought to do. So, it's a very hard balance. And I wrote down this line also from the book of Alan Marinis that says that arrogance is taking up too much space in this world. That's the gaiva. That's the pride that we've been thinking about. Okay. I'm going to pause in 1 minute. Low self-esteem. Listen to this. Low self-esteem is taking up too little space in this world. There's too much and there's too little. So what is anava? What is humility? He says, humility is knowing your place in this world. Too much, too little, and then the knowledge of what is my place in this world. And how do I hold that, right? If you don't finish the sentence over here, if you open up this book and you read one little line, you are getting a very wrong snapshot about what he's telling us here. It doesn't mean to think of yourself as nothing, but we have to know our place, right? The idea that's been quoted by multiple people in multiple different ways, I've heard it, but the idea of having really two pockets, right? Having one pocket that's I am but dust and ashes, and the other pocket that tells me that the whole world was created for none other than me, right? How do we blend these two? These are both Jewish sayings. These are both Jewish teachings. That's humility, knowing your place in this world, how those two become one, how those two understand, right? If somebody is so lowly and can't ever add value because they think so low of themselves, that is not humility. So going back to our example of Moshe, we see the ultimate. He knew exactly what his traits were. And he knew that he was going to be able to step in. And even with Moshe, by the way, you see that the first response that he had in the Torah, when he's asked to come and to lead the people, his first words are, Ani aral sifasayim. I have a stutter of the mouth. I cannot be your orator, right? Even then, when But then Hashem said to him, no, you don't understand. I'm specifically wanting you because of your stutter. That's what I want. And at that point, he recognized his flaw, which felt like a flaw to him. He still knew his place, and he took the leap. So even flaws sometimes fall into the category of humility. Understanding I'm not a nobody because of my flaw. I just have to know my place. Knowing our place in this world could be a lifetime's worth of work, right? And I do think that some people are born, it's a little bit easier for them. And some people are born and it's a little bit harder for them. I do think that there is a little bit of a nature component over here. And we see from this work that it is something that is, we can adjust. We can learn to tip that scale.
Because you don't want to be a schmuck.
Correct.
You
That's
don't-
exactly right.
Yeah, so you really.
And that's why I love the
to
way that
pick
he
and choose.
describes, like it's thinking of yourself. Too much is not good. Too little is no good. Knowing your place. What does that look like? So, you all chuckled when I talked about leadership, but I really want you to think about leaders in your own lives. Sometimes it's a parent, sometimes it's a teacher, sometimes it's somebody in a very prominent role who you've known, maybe from the time you were younger. Think of a leader. Name me one leader that you know who is an exceptional leader and didn't have the trait of humility. Didn't. Like, meaning all good leaders have humility. And if not, I beg to challenge that they were a good leader, right? Like the leaders that we see
Sorry.
in all sects of the world. Like I'm not just talking in terms of politics. I'm talking about in schools, in yeshivas, in medical buildings, in hospitals, all across the board.
Anywhere and any day.
Correct. If there is not humility, then I challenge what kind of a leader they were. And it's an unbelievable thing because you almost think it's an opposite. How do you have somebody who's such a leader with so much humility? That's called knowing your place in this world.
Mhm.
When I think of the best, I work for myself now, but when I think of the best boss I ever had, humility is the word I think everybody describes, but he was also the most faithful person I ever worked for. He was Mormon and came to religion in his 20s,
Oh, wow.
but he didn't proselytize at all, but he was so deeply rooted in who he was, connected to his faith, that I think it created this balance for him as a leader. Like I think he led with the beliefs that he educated himself with and was
So
taught.
so I mean, listen, we're going to actually get to it. She's going to go through six things that are very much like six categories that we're going to see where humility really plays a role. And I think that the faith one is the one that really it runs itself so much through. So which one comes first, right? Like, is the humility something that one has to work? Which one comes first? If one is trying to find this balance, like I also find that people really are who are humble, they have a relationship, they know that there's a bigger being than them that's in charge, right? Like faith is a big piece. So if one is trying to work on humility, does one work on humility or does one work on faith?
Both.
both.
Or you can say simultaneous, but
Yeah.
like really, which one are you trying to focus on?
Faith.
I don't know. It's a
If
discussion.
you're focusing on humility, like there's a lot of things that make up it.
Right. That is true.
And,
Yeah.
And I would assume if you focus on one, the other comes. Whether
Okay.
It's
So I always say like the keystone of so many things is faith. Like I often find that if faith is really solid, then so many of these other character traits fall into place. But faith is a very, very, very hard thing. It's not like it takes a lot of effort. So we're gonna get there. Hopefully, we're gonna start getting into these 6 character traits today. Hopefully.
But I'm thinking also.
Devorah?
What?
of course she is.
Don't tell me I'm humble. What?
Me?
Yeah, Debbie.
I won't tell you.
No, sometimes I think if you're working on the humility piece, you don't even realize that the faith is part of that. Like,
Okay, good.
someone
So
could be
that's an
working on
excellent
that.
piece. Good. So that's a very important
Right.
thing to recognize.
Also,
Like recognizing
the
that while
pride
you're working on
side.
humility, like it is also working on the faith. Like you can think about that. Yeah.
It comes, it's parallel.
Go ahead.
Also,
Sorry.
the side about pride and trying to be or that person that's showing off and all that. Often it's because they have no self-confidence. So they're trying to
Yes.
say things that push them higher to the public.
Yes, isn't that so true, Debbie's point, that oftentimes when we see people that put out such a high level of pride and they seem so self-confident and they're pushed, and it's really coming from a place of extreme insecurity. Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yes, I noticed that. Like,
A
yeah,
lot.
if we could notice that in our really younger version, I try to teach that to my kids, but it really does change the way that you look at somebody when you see them as a struggling person instead of a mean, haughty person, you know? Yeah.
Deborah, I just want to go back to Felicia's comment because I really experienced that as well. The company that I worked for 20 years was led by devout Mormons, and they did not proselytize at all, but they were so humble, as if everything that they had really was like they were grateful to God for everything that they had. And it was when they left that the company really, that was sort of what
Wow.
kind of chased me out, so to speak, was that our leaders lacked humbleness. When you say, show me a great leader that wasn't humble, and I think about all the leaders that were there for 18 years, were so humble and so gracious and kind. And then it shifted when they didn't have
Right. And the question
faith.
is, were they great leaders,
When they
right?
didn't
Like,
have
yeah.
that faith.
Wow.
The other thing I want to share really
It's so
quick,
powerful.
because I feel like it is like everything we talked about today and last week, is Debbie's point about when you're working on humbleness, you're actually working on faith also. I led this floral workshop this past weekend, and it was my first one.
It looked
And so I was a
beautiful.
little nervous. And while I was nervous, somebody was before I got there, somebody was complimenting my samples, and they were like, "Those are amazing. Like, what are you questioning?" And I was like, you know what? All of a sudden, I had this like feeling of an epiphany. I was like, I need to accept that God gave me a talent, and that I'm not going to question it. I'm not going to doubt it. I'm not going to boast about it. I'm going to look at it like it's a gift to be able to share it. And I'm literally just going to this workshop to share what Hashem gave me. And all of a sudden I wasn't nervous anymore. And I felt like I was being humble, embracing pride with humbleness. And I just then could be my natural self, and I wasn't nervous. So to me, I'm sharing that because it's Debbie's point of
Yeah.
humbleness. You work on
Yeah, but that is actually interesting, because the next thing that I was going to shift into is actually the idea of compliment. I love that example so much. Also, you say it as if it's easy. You make it sound like, yeah, so I just decided, like, I just decided I was gonna like accept that this is a gift, but that takes years of work of being able to recognize, like, hold on a second, like, I'm gonna have this shift. The fact that you were able to have that shift and show up, and it looked so flawless, and it seems like it even felt flawless. You were like, and then once I had that shift, I was able to show up in this way. That didn't happen in a bubble. That wasn't in a vacuum.
That's fully class.
Well, not class. It's the culmination of a lot of work that you've put into growth and the awareness. And the way that you described it just felt so right. So Alan Marinis writes that being humble doesn't mean being a nobody. And this is where I find that compliments very much come in. It just means being no more of a somebody than you ought to be. Let's bring this into compliments for a second. I've done workshops on compliments. I have done full-on workshops, hour workshops with women on what it means to be able to accept a compliment. What is your observation of women with compliments?
Embarrassed. They downplay it.
Downplay, embarrassed, self-deprecation.
They don't give. I don't hear it.
I don't hear it.
Hear it.
Okay.
Right, they don't accept it.
We don't believe it.
Yeah.
Yes,
We don't believe it.
Yes, but it. Like,
Yes, but
Yeah.
poo-pooing, right? When is the last time that you noticed that you gave a compliment and somebody just responded with, thank you?
It's funny because I teach my kids that, because I hear my mother in my head saying, just say thanks.
Right. So she was trying to get that over to you. Exactly. So I'll tell you what's so interesting about this. And this is when I give the workshops, I also point out that for the person who's giving the compliment and trying to give of themselves, when we think about a giver, so a person who gives a compliment is trying to be a giver. You are not being an acceptor of their compliment. You are not being a giver by accepting the compliment. You're like letting it bounce right back at them. And when you're thinking about somebody who's trying to be a giver, really all we want to do is be an acceptor. If somebody handed you $100 bill and you'd be like, yeah, no, thank you, right? you would look like a moron. I mean, like they're trying to give you a gift, or the last time you gave somebody a birthday gift and they're like, oh, yes, but I don't deserve that. It's a gift. But in order to be able to receive a compliment, we need to be able to have this healthy dose of what we're talking about over here, of self-esteem, of knowing your place. So when I do the workshop, it's a very fascinating thing, but I shift the women up all over the room. Many of them are strangers, and we literally have people giving each other compliments. And then, of course, challenge moving forward to try to give a compliment, try to receive a compliment, what that looks like. You will notice after today's class, when somebody gives you a compliment and you're just about to say an and but or whatever the thing is, you're going to stop and say,
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you, right?
It's gonna
And it's hard.
It's gonna be like dreams. I had dreams that whole month when you told me I should start paying attention to my
Yeah,
dreams.
you're going to start to notice it. Exactly. It's in your what's it called?
Yeah.
It's that part of your brain.
So
So
is it inappropriate to say it back if someone says, "Oh, you look really good today"? Yeah, I think you look good today too.
it's not a matter of it being inappropriate. It's
Yeah.
a matter of, have you acknowledged it?
Yeah.
Have you acknowledged it for yourself? Have you taken
Thank
their
you.
compliment and let it sit in? I think I mentioned that, like sometimes in coaching work that I do, and it comes up a lot of times, confidence piece. And for somebody who's very much struggling with confidence, they will hear good things, but for some reason, it's like they hear it and it like bounces back off like a bouncy ball, literally. Like it comes onto them, but somehow it doesn't. And so one of the assignments that I just gave one of my clients was, I want you to listen to the compliments, which oftentimes are given to her in voice notes. I want you to listen to it, and I want you to stop the recording, and then oftentimes she listens to it in her car. I want you to say it back out loud to yourself as if you're talking to yourself. Take their compliment and now put it into you. Make it a part of you, right? A compliment is meant to be there for a reason. Now, there are also people who very much fish for compliments, right? My teacher in high school used to say, it was actually brought down, it was in one of the book of prophets, where people, it's talking about specific groups of people. She used to go like this. Like, oh, don't give me a compliment. Give me the compliment. Like you can try to stop somebody from giving the compliment, but like you're really just like really trying to get more compliments. So like, and though we know those kind of people, we know when they're like, no, but really all they want to do is just hear it. So those kinds of people really do exist, right? That's where humility needs to come in. That's not what we're striving towards. We're not striving towards that. Yeah, Gail.
I totally hear what you're saying about a lot of people. And sometimes we get compliments, and it's honestly like, I think I pretty much think this happened this weekend. My sister-in-law said something to me, and it suddenly occurred to me that she sees me completely differently from the way I see myself. And she gave me a compliment, and I was just like, really? Like, that's what you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In a good
So it
way.
hit you as a good thing?
Yeah.
It is a good thing. It's
Not that
it's
she
like,
was fake.
no, she wasn't fake at all.
But her compliment made you realize, hold on, you're seeing something in me that I don't see.
Yeah.
Right?
That's
How many times have we been? That's exactly right. So like listening to that compliment, be like, wait, hold on 1 second. Like, really? Like, is that the way I'm showing up to others? Because I'm not even sure.
Yeah.
Now listen to this line, okay? Every aspect of our lives, ladies, is experienced through the ego. And when that glass is distorted or obscured, we will no longer perceive any of the details of our lives accurately as they are. Do you understand what that means? That means that we're living a life, the glass we're looking through, the lens that we're looking at life through is all coming through the eyes of the ego.
Read it one more time.
I'm going to read it again, but I'm going to explain it even more. Every aspect of our lives is experienced by us through the lens of the ego. Okay, that's a crazy thing to think about. And when that glass is distorted or obscured, we will no longer perceive any of the details of our lives accurately as they are. Now, that can be good or that can be bad. If somebody has too high of an ego, which was the book of Pride, right? It's too high of an ego. So they're looking at themselves through a glass, like they're walking around thinking they're walking on diamond shoes, and they're meanwhile walking on like ragged, shabby, ripped shoes. And everything that they're looking at through their lens, maybe it's like it's too much. When a person feels yucky about themselves, when the humility is too low, their whole work, everything that they're seeing it's all about the ego. The lens that you wake up with in the morning is all about the ego, which, by the way, did you ever notice that the days that you eat well, pray well, sleep well, show up well, look good, put on makeup, smile at yourself, you've worked out, you're actually having a better day? Did you ever notice that?
Yes.
Why do you think that is? Because you're feeling better about yourself, because your ego is a notch up. So therefore, the lens that you're looking at through the world is a much more clear version. It's a much crispier place. It's a much brighter place, right? The days that you wake up and your lens is all like dimmed because you didn't sleep well and you forgot to eat well and you didn't work out and you're in a crappy mood, right? Like all the things, your lens is very gray. You're having a yuckier day. Your lens of life is yuckier. The way that you're looking at other people is yuckier. The way that you're judging yourself and others is also much more right? It's all brown. It's like tainted. So everything, when you think about that, oh my gosh, like my whole perception of life is through the eyes of the ego. Is this a healthy dose? When I say like we all view ourselves as the main character, listen, there are people that I've met that don't view themselves as the main character. You remember my story with my little girl, 12-year-old girl, Lila? She was a camper of mine, and we were all sitting in a circle. And I was asking the girls, what is your superpower? I want to hear all your superpowers. Tell me something special about yourselves. And everybody's saying like what their superpower is. And this girl literally is saying nothing. And I knew that this girl struggled. I knew this girl had tremendous, tremendous challenges in her life. And I finally said to her, like, Lila, you're the only one that didn't speak. Tell me what your superpower is. So she doesn't say anything. At the very end of the workshop, I see her hand go up and she's like, I just thought about what my superpower is. My superpower is that I am invisible. Nobody ever sees me.
Yes.
My father is dying on his hospital bed. I'm in the hospital room. The nurses walk in, they walk out, the people come in, come out. I am invisible. So some people, right? Yeah, it's an awful story. She's not the only one. Some people, their ego is so low that they don't see themselves as the main character. Their whole life goes around feeling invisible, right? So we have to realize like this balance. And by the way, sometimes you can almost wonder like, well, I don't know. Am I seeing myself as the main character? And like, am I nobody? Like that is normal. Sometimes for us to feel that way. But at least if we're thinking about it and we're recognizing the awareness. So being able to accept a compliment, being able to give a compliment, being able to recognize what our role is. These are all very, very important pieces. He goes in over here now into specific details. And the first one he's going to bring in is the importance of using humility within the framework of monetary dealings. Okay. And what he says is the following. He says that dealing with all people beyond the letter of the law in monetary ways is a place of humility. It's coming from a place of humility. His entire deportment with people must be with lowliness and pleasantness. Now, when you say lowliness, it makes it sound like, how are you showing up? But really, this word lowliness is a language of humility. Humility and pleasantness, right? That's how you're dealing with it. True humility consists of True humility consists of humbling oneself to those beneath him, such as his servants, the member of his household, and those poor people who are fed and helped by him and whom he does not need or fear. This is where we start thinking about the people that we live with in our society, the cashiers, the Uber drivers, the people that come to clean our homes, the people that fill in the blank, all the people that serve us. It says servants here. Okay, we don't think of these people as in our lives as servants, but how are we dealing with them? Are we looking at ourselves as we get into the Uber driver as like, so how's that great job of driving your Uber going today? Are we thinking of ourselves like that? Or like I've learned from my husband, to have the most beautiful conversations and to connect with these Uber drivers as humans, because that's what they are, right? When my ladies come to clean my home and I offer them food and coffees and I treat them, I'm thinking to myself, I don't want them to feel like I'm sitting down to have a cup of coffee or to have a meal and they're just continuing to clean my home, right? Like we want to think about that. That's called dealing with other people, not just with kindness, but again, with the place of humility. And by the way, when so in our dating circles, we don't date for long periods of time. we date pretty short and pretty concise, and we're really every action is a huge deal because we are looking at every single action as what is that telling me about his character traits. So this is something we're looking at. You know, we're going to places, we're getting into, well, I was because I was in Israel, so my husband actually didn't rent a car. I was getting into a taxi driver car. Like we had a taxi driver who was driving us around. I wanted to go places where we were interacting with other people to see how is he going to interact with the other people around me. It's so funny that I'm thinking this right now. I didn't even think this as I was like preparing for this chapter, but it's so funny how I'm realizing that the same way that my husband taught me the way he talks to Uber drivers, and by the way, most of them are Muslim, like he has the most fascinating conversations with these Muslim drivers, but the same way that he like treats them like humans, that was also one of the first things that I was so drawn towards my husband when we were dating, because of the way that he treated our taxi driver, Kobe. Like he was like part of that. I mean, not that he was listening to all of our conversations in the back seat, but like he included him. He wasn't just a driver. He was like, when we got engaged and he was the first one to know, like my husband was like, Kobe, come make a l'chaim with us. Like you're in this, you know, like he was part of it. And like, it might seem like a seemingly nothing thing, but to me, I was like, this is somebody who treats our taxi driver with respect. Thank you so much.
I'm so sorry. To leave it there.
Robin warned me that she had to leave it. But we really are going to close up shop as well over here. So we're not going to get into the 6 categories. Yes, you had a hand up.
I was just gonna say, and also that goes along with teaching our children the same thing. If that's how you treat people in the world and everyday places and world, and you know, I'm never using the word servants, but I'm saying people that help us or customer service
That you
anybody that I run into. And I've always try to be that way. And then I would like my children to see that's how I've always been that way.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
make sure you're wearing
your Jewish star necklace when you do it.
oh, that's
So
all.
that everybody knows you do it.
Wait,
Yes.
where was I? Oh, it was at. Wait, Farron, are you still on here? Cheryl, you were there. You were there, and they were joking about like doing something that's like dangling the Jewish star,
Holding the door
We were
open.
talking about doing it to Hashem, and like how like
My son does that.
the ladies were like, we hold open the door, and we're like, shalom. Oh, you were like, shalom. You know, like I do something nice because I'm a Jew. Yeah, exactly.
It wasn't me, but yes.
I thought it was you who said it. Oh, Pam.
But you know,
Vanessa.
That
It was Vanessa.
Vanessa.
is that one time someone was opening a door and the person didn't say thank you. Okay. And someone got a little touchy about it. And I said to the person, I said, well, do you open the door to be kind, or are you opening the door to get a thank you? And they said, huh. Like it was like a whole.
So I love that comment, and what I want to even say even more than that is that coming from a place of kindness, or is that coming from a place of humility?
Right.
Like really, if you think about it, it's the root of it is humility. Like that when you're saying it to them like that, you're like, that is such a good thing to think about. But if you think about it, obviously, if you're doing it from a place to do a kindness, then you know your humble place. It's
Right.
not to be like,
I think I do it for a reason to teach the person to do the right thing.
Right.
Like
You-
a lot of times if I hold the door for someone, I'll say you're welcome. If they didn't say thank you. Well, I just want them to realize that they should not.
To do it for somebody else.
Yeah, exactly.
Pay it forward.
Exactly. To
Yeah,
learn
but
to
for
do-
me, it was more like I was in a social situation where I was like, I opened the door. That's what I feel like I should do.
yeah, I love that.
Take it off now.
I love that. Okay, so ladies, we're going to wrap up. Next week, we're going to start with the 6 ways that humility manifests itself.
What page?
Actually, we're not going to start with that next week, because guess what? Next week, we start with a class on Adar, because we're going to be ushering in the new month of Adar. So we're going to start with a little bit about the new month of Adar, and then we'll start with the 6 ways that we see how humility manifests itself. And I find these 6 categories particularly eye-opening and also very hard, not simple.
This is so hard.
Yeah, very, very hard work.
Because it's just
Very,
a fine line.
very, very hard work. So we didn't get our full hour in because it took us a little bit of time to get settled. But I know people do have to go.
The bars briefs was
Yeah.
Sunday and today was cats. And I don't know who the cats are.
Well, I don't know who it is, but he wrote the wrong thing.
They have a nice last name.
Let's stop this recording.
Yes.
No. It was a bris today at H, which is
Oh.
and it was the KATZs.
Yeah.
It's a good